when we talk about culture, it's not just about one person. It's
Mm-hmm.
a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a group of people who identify themselves with common
Mm-hmm.
values, beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
um, opinions, perceptions. Yeah, I I heard it talk. I heard it talk about before I jumped in. I heard it talk about the cultural event that took place in
Edmonton.
Edmonton this weekend.
Yes.
It was quite interesting because the phone
Yes.
the phone of Lewa was 1 year ahead of me in school.
Seed of wisdom student, ex-student.
That
Yes.
is right.
Yes, he is a seed
So
of wisdom ex-student. That's true.
yeah. So it was quite interesting. We had known him in school like
Mm-hmm.
an ordinary person.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we got into university, he was enthroned as Fawn. And now we have to start recognizing him with the titles that he comes with.
Right.
So I saw a couple of videos and pictures, and it was quite exhilarating.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, you were in there. What happened? What are some of the things that you guys did?
No, it was again, it's not every time that you have a phone show up to a community like ours to visit, right? It's I would
Mhm.
say that I've been in Alberta for about 15 years plus, 15 about, and this is the first time we have a phone. We have chiefs coming, but a paramount phone is never happened before. So it was quite
Okay.
exciting to be part of that, to be part of the organization, to be part of making sure that this thing happened. So yeah, pretty great. Again, it's a culture is very it's old, but what I have noticed is that each each time a generation passes, there are certain values or certain aspects of culture that we either were not taught to the generation that comes up, or maybe the generation that assumed did not learn everything that they were supposed to, and then so there were little gaps in terms of how to address the phone. There's certain traditional music that goes with certain activities. We were not really 100% on top of that. We still needed a little bit of we needed a little bit of work.
Right.
So and I think that it's open us up to wanting to learn, because we realized that we didn't know enough. There were gaps in what we knew about receiving a phone and cultural dances and songs and chants and all that, right? So I think it was a
Yeah.
good opportunity for us to realize that we still need to learn a lot. We need to hang out with our parents and ask questions and copy, because that's the only way we get it. There are no books. I don't know any books that have been written about the traditional, the Bangwa culture per se, right? There are
Yeah.
no books that I know of. So it's usually knowledge that is passed on from generation to generation by word of mouth, or maybe by
Yeah.
action and demonstration, right?
Right.
So we are here. They are doing the demonstrating cultures back home. We are not there to learn. And if we don't call our parents and say, okay, this is what we want to do, what do you recommend, or how should we embark on this, we definitely found a lot of gaps doing that, right? But again, at the end of the day, again, like I said, learning opportunity. The dances were great. The dances that we got right were performed exceptionally well. We did a banda. We did a say, which is also a traditional Bangwa dance that we do to show honor to people.
Okay.
We did. There's a guy did a rhyme in the Bangwa dialect. I think he was just about 12 or 13. I was amazed,
Oh, okay.
right? So he took the time to
Was he
learn.
was he
No, no,
reading? Was he
no, no,
reading
no.
it
He
out, or he
recited.
was
No,
just
he
okay?
recited a rhyme in the
Okay.
dialect. It's a rhyme that I heard growing up,
Oh,
but I can't put the words together. So I was amazed when this child came up in front of a massive crowd and
right.
recited a rhyme in the Bangwa language, which it was amazing to me. Kudos to the parents, because I'm sure
Wow.
the parents did a good job, getting this kid interested in the first place, because not every child is
Right.
interested in learning Bangwa. so, getting their child interested in the first place to wanting to do that, right? And I imagine how much time it takes for a child to learn a language to the point where they could recite a rhyme with it, right? So yeah, that was pretty good. And then we also had um, you know sometimes you see they say he's the fun, and it comes with there's a lot of power in that name. But I saw
Right.
a young, dynamic, friendly, open-hearted gentleman who came out to meet with his people. There was
Okay.
some protocol, but I think he was, which word would I use? He was reasonable enough to know that, when you come to meet your people, sometimes those rules and those, sometimes you need to leave them aside and actually meet the people. So, everyone had the opportunity to go meet him personally, not no, personally go meet the fawn and introduce
Yeah.
yourself and maybe say where you come from the village, because again, that's how we identify. My name is this. I am son of Mr.
This.
This, grandson of Pa this, who resides in this part of the village.
Yeah.
That is how they get to know you. There's a chain, right? So
Right.
people taking the
Heritage.
time to go do
Yes.
that. This is my
Yes.
name.
Heritage.
I am son
Mm-hmm.
or daughter of this person, who is son or daughter of that person who comes from this village and under this founder. So,
Mm-hmm.
people had the opportunity to do that one-on-one. Everybody, it didn't matter your age, it didn't matter if you had a title back in the village. Everybody went individually, did their introduction, took a picture or two, and then left. So everybody was excited, right? It was kind
Right.
of, when they say meet the people, this was what this event was, actually meeting the Bangwa people here and having us demonstrate our culture. Yeah, it was a proud moment for me, I would say. Yeah, quite proud.
I mean, so thanks so much for that extensive overview of what happened during the event. Generally, when it comes to Bangwa tradition and chieftaincy and
Mm-hmm,
everything, I'm quite familiar with it because I went to school there for 7 years.
mm-hmm,
So everything that I saw, some videos, just like you've explained, traditional dances, speeches, social connections, and I equally picked out one thing when you were discussing. You talked about passing our culture on from one generation to another,
mm-hmm,
and you quoted an instance where a 12-year-old talked about did a poem
mm-hmm,
in front of everyone in a
mm-hmm,
language, and you equally mentioned that he it should have taken a lot of work for the parents to teach him, for him to get to that point to recite in front of people. But what I would say is, I think you learned your language. I'm not sure if you do speak your language, but then I think that the language that we learned growing up was just, it was kind of innate. It just, once you do it every day,
mm-hmm,
it's like getting up every day to
mm-hmm,
shower. So it becomes natural. It doesn't become, it's not complex. It's not something you have to go sit in the classroom and
mm-hmm.
write. If every day you get up and tell your child good morning in your language, so they would definitely pick it.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to the heart of our discussion for today.
Mm-hmm,
We have left our source where we grew up, and we find ourselves now in the diaspora. Now the question is being in the diaspora a make or a mar to our culture? That is one question I'd like us to answer by the end of this
yep.
show. Is it positive or negative? Does it play positively on our culture, or it affects it negatively? So when we come out with those arguments on whether it's a for or against, then we will try to come up with ways that we can improve on promoting our culture.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of those things that we can do to promote our culture? So we would want to answer all those questions today.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why we continue to encourage cultural events and participate, bringing everyone, like the upcoming cultural jamboree that will be, I think it's taking place, is it Saturday, 21st September? I guess so.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is something we are actually advocating for. And there was another big piece of generation, passing it on from one generation to the other. Now, the question is, we have left home and we are here, and in one way or the other, we are impacted naturally, consciously or unconsciously.
Right.
So we have come to a point where we have to become more intentional about how we pass on our culture to the next generation we are leaving behind. If not, then our culture is kind of facing an attack of extinction. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I definitely agree. I think there's certainly there's a level of challenge for us who have moved out of Cameroon and who are here. Culture, again, if you don't intentionally practice it, if you don't intentionally show it off, there's a likelihood that it's going to go extinct. I mean, we live here in Canada. They are languages, Aboriginal native languages that are almost extinct, and we see how much work the Aboriginal people and the government of Canada is putting to revive these languages, right? Because again, it's important. Language is a very key component of a people's culture, a people's identity. So losing your language, it's almost like losing your identity, right? Because
let me jump in. It's one of the most important pieces of culture.
Yeah.
Because when you speak your language, you identify yourself. Automatically, it identifies you. If you have, let's say, two football fan clubs, and they have their names up, what does that do to you? What does it tell you about each group? It tells you who they are. So your language is a representative of who you are. It's a representation of your culture.
Right.
You can go ahead with your analysis.
Yes, so language too, I think is key. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't know enough that we can pass, or we can comfortably.
Robert says he's around, so I don't know if you have to send him a request or something.
I have sent him a link. He needs to join the show first. Okay. And then I will invite him to come in. So, Mr. Nebo, if you're listening, you need to join the live. You need to join the show first. You need to come into the show first, and then
join the show. Then you can see him and send the request.
Yeah. Okay. I sent you a link. I sent Mr. Nebo a link a few minutes ago. Click on the link, and then come on, and then I will send you an invite so we can move forward. So
Robert says saying that the show, he says it's on, so maybe if you send it, it's gonna go through.
I don't see him.
He said he sent a comment.
Oh, he sent a comment.
Probably just to indicate that he is on.
I don't see him on.
You haven't seen him.
I don't see him on. I don't see his comment either. So he needs to go on to Idle Park, not on the Asonga Fair Facebook page. You will not find. You need to go on. He needs to go on to the Idle Park.
Okay.
Doctor page. He's listening.
It's good that you're reminding us. So anytime we are coming on, we should know the right place to go to.
Yeah, if you come through me, I will not be able to get you in. If you come, you have to come through Idle Park.
So while Asong is trying to get Robert in, Robert is one of the organizers of the coming cultural jamboree on Saturday, the 21st of September. So we would like to hear from him what the program is all about, and probably why we should leave the comfort of our home this weekend on Saturday to head out to the event. That's what we want to hear from Robert this evening. So while you're still struggling to get to him, I just wanted to read out a 15 elements of culture, so
Mm-hmm.
that while we are having our conversations today, we kind of have an idea, themes that we want to be looking at. So language is top on the list, like I said, norms, symbols, values, attitudes, rituals, customs and manners, material culture, education, physical artifacts, language, jargon, like little palaces, idioms and
Mm-hmm.
sayings and all of that, which is very typical of us Africans. Stories, myth, legends, ceremonies and celebrations, like what we are looking forward to this weekend. Behavioral norms and shared beliefs and values. So those are some pieces of culture. So the question is, what have we been doing to promote our culture? Where are we at? And where do we want to be in the next future?
Yes. Still, unfortunately, still, I'm not
You
able
can't get hold of
to.
him.
I just can't get a hold of him.
Okay.
I don't see him. Where is he watching from?
I wonder, yeah.
Which
I haven't
one?
seen him live too. I see, I see, he says he's saying the comment, but
Have
I
you seen
can't
the message?
see
Can you
anything.
see a message?
No, I haven't. He just wrote to me on directly, not on Facebook. So I'm not sure where he's watching from. But just another reminder, I think the show is open to the public. If you feel that you want to join and add your voice to the discussion on culture today, you're free to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Um, no. Yeah. Okay.
And another piece I wanted us to equally highlight today is, how are we passing it on? How are we passing on our culture to the next generation? Are we involving the youths, or we are just doing it amongst ourselves as adults? Are we getting the youths involved in any community development projects? Are their voices heard? Um, do we coin our cultural practices to meet the needs of the youths? Do we bring them on board? Because I think that's the only way we are able to pass it on from our generation to the next generation, which is the youth coming up. So I think that is a big work kind of burden on our shoulders, for us who just came in abroad and struggling to meet up with challenges here and still maintain our culture from where we come from. How do we pass it on to our youth, and how do we get our youth included and involved in the works that we do to promote our culture?
Yeah, that's true, because this is a generational thing. It definitely is a generational thing. If we can't get the youth involved or interested in the culture, then again, there's a guarantee that that culture is going to die. If we don't have people to take on the baton of and run, then we are definitely just going to end, and there will be fewer and fewer cultures, especially here. Back home, yeah, it's a little strong. They are all there. They participate. The children, I don't have a choice but to be part of it, right? But
Right.
here, I think if we don't encourage and get the youth involved, then we definitely are not heading the right direction, I think. And I think that is why we have. Oh, the comment section is disabled.
Oh,
Somebody said the comment section is
it's
disabled.
disabled. Okay, because I haven't seen any
The
comments since.
Facebook is
But I
able.
see people coming on. I see people coming on, so I'm not sure.
How do I comment? Like, mute, rotate, sticker. Okay. Oh, enable submit questions. Now let's see. Done. Um, Hopefully, I have activated it. I think I have.
Okay.
Can someone send a comment? Let's see if I am able to see. Can you all see this? Yeah. Okay, now I can see the comment. Can you all see this 2 minutes ago? I think the comment. No. I can see your comments now, which means, of course, I think it's now active. Okay, yeah, perfect. I
Okay.
have
Perfect.
seen a couple of people. There's Helen, there's Ngozi Grace, there's Samuel E.T., my very good friend. Samuel E.T. is a very he's a Manyuman, a very proud Manyuman, a very good friend of mine. We have worked
Okay.
together on a project that he had a couple of months back,
Mhm.
where he brought this Manu artist,
Right.
name I forget his name. Yes, but Samuel too is quite interested in culture. He has
Oh.
done a whole lot to promote the Manu culture here in Calgary. I think I just wanted to give him a shout
Oh,
out
that's
since I
amazing.
see
Okay.
him watching. Samuel, if you have a minute, I could bring you in to tell us a
Sure.
little
So
bit
tell us.
about how that event went. I was part of it, but if you have a minute, just indicate, and I will bring you in for a few minutes so you could talk to us a little bit about your passion in the Manu culture,
Yeah.
which I think is very important.
I just
Um,
like to say, while maybe Samuel is hoping to jump in, I just want to share this quotation about culture. So, a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. I don't know. That kind of speaks so much into what we are discussing today. That if we don't preserve our culture, we lose it and we become a people without a root. And you know what happens to a tree? A tree can lose its branches, it would still grow, it would still flourish. But
mhm.
I don't think it's gonna survive if it loses its roots. Oh,
Hey, Godfrey.
oh, is that Samuel?
Yes,
Okay,
Mr.
I
Ashu.
just have I just have to pick it to be with you brief. I'm in my hotel. You can
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
okay,
So briefly, I was just telling our audience that you are a very active Manu man, and you have done a whole lot to promote the Manu culture here in Calgary. I was talking about the event that you had and the artists that you brought here. I just wanted you to tell us a little bit about why you're so passionate about the Manu culture, and why I know you've always been on my neck to let's do something together to promote our culture. Why are you so passionate in the culture, generally speaking?
it's really a coincidence that I was just trying to look at my phone, then I saw you guys, and okay, let me look at the title. I saw the heading what you guys are doing. I said, oh, okay, let me just throw my eyes. But I see you guys are doing a great job, and I must commend you. And I promise you, you're gonna go far because I have a lot of plans for you, but you don't know. Then coming down to the culture, not only Manu culture, uh, uh, I'm an African, and I'm rooted in a African culture. You know, with our cultural background, when you bring it to the European world or the Western world, they'll tell you it's fetish. But when they bring theirs to us, we look at it as superior. At the end of the day, they still go and take our artifice and bring them here, transport them here, and we come here and pay high in their museum to watch them. So you see, a man, like you said, without a culture is a loss of identity. I'm just passionate about culture because my grandfather was very rooted in culture. So along the line, I start seeing myself as a replica of my grandfather. So when I when I come to look at things like you cover the event of my dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was not all about Manu.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about the community.
You you have been adopted by the the Momo people here, right? I mean, I was part of that, so I'm like, yeah, this guy.
Yeah, the Momopo gave me a title. I still have to claim that.
Mhm.
I'm not only with
wow,
the Momo, I'm not only with Manu, but I'm very rooted when it comes to our cultural values. Like you see, if I take back myself in schools, when I'm doing Cameroon history, African history, I score less. Why? Because I'm so emotional. I'm so passionate about it. So I see how we have lost our identity, our cultural values. So when I'm doing history, African, Cameroon, I always call less. But when I'm doing European history, you see, I do well, so well because there's no passion. So when it comes to Cameroonian history, I'm so passionate. So it makes me, though that I don't score, I score very good grades, but it's not what I would like to score. So I'm not only passionate with Manu culture. At least I promote Manu culture too, but I promote Bakosi culture because I had a Bakosi musician that was part of it, right?
Mhm.
There was a Bakosi musician when I launched a Tando Mo Manu. There was
Yeah.
Bakosi Superval was there, it's a Bakosi guy. And the one I'm trying to surprise Calgary might not be Manu, but I think I just like to surprise people. I hope I've answered your question. I don't want to take much of your time.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
No.
so Mr. Samuel, yeah, thanks so much. That's I mean, when I hear you speak, I hear you speak not just for the Manu people, but for a cultural activist. You're a
Yeah.
cultural activist from your speech. I just like to ask you, what is a main value? What is most important to you when you talk about culture? What are some of those pieces that stands out for you?
You know, culture is very vast, but some of us have made culture with walls. When you look at culture and you put walls, it's no longer culture. But when you look at culture in a different perspective, you see that culture is very, like when we talk of aesthetics, they're all culture.
Yeah,
When we talk of education, now they are all culture. So now,
right.
what matters now is the curriculum, what you bring in and what you educate, like our own kids. Like
Mm-hmm.
for instance, our kids are completely losing out. We even benefited from our parents, our grandparents. We benefited from those fireside where we sit, burn corn, eat plum.
And share stories.
Yes, you will not see those things. So when we sit back and take our minds behind, we see that our kids are losing a lot of it, a lot. And most of our kids will not go back home. So now we have to take our culture here so that with this in mind, they will have thought and future back home to go build back our country, the broken country. So if we don't instill that in them to give them homework, that's how I look at culture. Culture is it's a continuous progress, just like success. Anytime you stop making progress, then you are not successful. No matter how wealthy, no matter how broad you are, but anytime you stop where you are not progressive. Then so culture. That's how I look at culture. I don't know
So if
if I've answered your question.
No, of course you did. I heard you talk about the opportunities that we had to sit with our grandparents, relatives, and share those moments the evening where we sit by the fireside and they tell us stories of things that happened in the past and
Yeah,
maybe share their experiences and probably tell us what they would like to see in us as we grow up.
yeah.
So definitely you've highlighted the point, the same thing we've been discussing here, that our next generation is struggling. They would struggle. So my question is, what is the way forward? What can we do to help them or to bridge that gap between this generation that has been quite opportune and this other generation that is struggling in the Western world?
What you guys are doing is already a good job. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step.
Yeah.
Now, this platform, like I always tell them, I say this platform is something. It starts small. People might not know the importance of it, but consistency is the key. Is the watchword. Now you've already brought this. Now we are talking. People are listening. I don't know. It goes beyond our imagination. Who the type of people listening to this? And before you know, not only myself investing in culture, a lot of people will start investing in their culture. Now, now with this platform and with this communication, because the fact and the most important is communication, like what you guys are doing. So now we have to create those opportunities. We have to come together. We have to don't have to be hiding stuff. We have to, you have to, because you cannot promote something when you don't have the finance. Because the first is the will, the second is the finance. So now, if you have the will, then you have the finance. I think you can go for it. We are even in a good civilized society where there are grants all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Can benefit from those things. We take it and bring it back to our root. We take it back and promote people back there and connect our kids back home. Like, if it's not about the problem we have back home, there are times we need to take the kids to go back home, see the natural, taste the real palm wine. They call it palmy. Go eat those what they call and cope. Those things are things that people have been losing. At times we go in those bushes in those our time, not that we're hungry, but those are experiences that these kids also need.
Mm-hmm.
This part of the world where people are so passionate, so emotional, they cause suicide. But the good thing, somebody told me something, that Africans are so strong. No matter our emotional problems, we cannot hang ourselves. We are still strong. If you do this to the white race, they'll be eradicated completely because of emotional trauma. But look at us. No matter what we have gone through, stay in places we don't have food, stay in places we don't have facilities, but we are still strong and we are still hoping
Yeah.
in the future. So I think the way forward is what we are doing now, bringing our ideas together. The way forward is getting our kids involved in our culture. Okay, I watched you guys in Edmonton. Your phone came here.
Yes.
Mohammed no longer, you see, you don't longer wait for the mountain to come to you. You go to the mountain. Now the phone is coming here. It's already a way forward, giving you that, and you see that, and you see what one thing I like about the Libya Island people, they are born. If you want to talk about born in cultural values, the Libya Island, the Banso, those people, their ancestral heritage, the bond, the bonds are so strong. Yeah, those particular tribe I've mentioned. So with this, and you link your kids when people are going for your meetings, bring the kids. They have their own places. They ask questions. I think that's the way forward.
That's an
Well,
amazing response. I picked up a lot of things from what Mr. Summer was saying. It's Mr. Asho. I want to call you Mr. Asho.
Any
So
of them, any of them.
yeah, so I picked up some points which I want to throw back to our audience. He talked about creating a fora for discussion, like what we are doing today. So communication is a powerful weapon. Let's get people on the table. Let's have conversations. Let people bring in different ideas, and from there we'll begin to gradually get more comfortable to bringing people on board, and it will change the narrative. Then
Yeah.
he equally talked about the different events that we have and associations. That is another venue where people could promote culture, like the one the fund who just came in, the Bangwa fund of Lewo, who was in this weekend. He came and it brought out families, entire family, mother, father, son, daughters. They were all there. Everybody dressed in the traditional regalia.
mm-hmm.
Learned, for those who didn't know how to dance, I'm sure they did their very best to meet up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is it. We are right there. The ball is rolling.
The
So
kids
we
will
want
ask
to encourage
questions. The kids will ask questions.
Yeah.
the kids to ask
The
questions
kids
in
will
the
ask
meeting.
questions,
So
and
bring the kids along with you.
philosophy starts from rhetorical questions. Because
Yes.
if you put a rhetorical statement out there, you're not actually just you're making an open statement that attracts a lot of stone.
Right.
Just like a beautiful flower attracts a lot of bees.
Mm-hmm.
So the coming of fun, the kids will ask you guys questions. Then you start explaining the origin, and they're already getting it. And they will say, okay, Daddy, I want you to take me there. So I think it's a way forward. Sorry to have caught you there, but I
No,
was
that was
thinking I might lose that
no, it
point.
was perfect. Yeah, that was fine that you came in to actually expand on the fact. Then you also mentioned that we should take our children back home as well, to go to the ground, to go to the heart, the crux, where the would see how things are being done there, and that could attract them to maybe want to keep going back there. So those are some key points that I picked up. Asom, do you have any comments to make based on what Mr. Ashu just shared with us?
I definitely believe that one other component which he mentioned was the food, right? I know here we live on spaghetti and people are eating, but again, I get a certain sense of home when I come back and I eat a good plate of achu, for example. Or there's a fufu and bekang, something like that, right? So it
Yeah.
reminds me of home. That is the food that we ate when we were home. And when I
Yeah.
eat with my kids, when my kids see achu, they know that, okay, this is a traditional African Cameroonian cuisine. They know, they see value. Sometimes even after a couple of weeks, if achu is not made, they'll start asking, yeah, but mommy, are you going to make achu anytime soon?
Yeah.
Right? Or they have a certain auntie who they knows how to make achu. They start asking you to visit that auntie. Let's go visit auntie.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's go,
So that we
because
can
they
take
know that
that.
achu is always present, right? So again, it's not, you don't have to, it doesn't have to, be a big organization. You need to organize. No, it's just the little things. I think that's what Mr. Ashu, that's the message I got. I said little things, little steps, one step, it's good enough, and then the next day some other thing comes up and we go from there, right? So I think it's definitely good messaging, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Ashu, do you have anything else to tell
Before you
us?
head out.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I have to say anything, I want to look at our African philosophers. I want
Okay.
us to look at they call it dictum, or they call it their maxim. Those words, the words they use as. If you take, for instance, if you go to Ghana, like Kwame Nkrumah, he was talking of conscientism.
Okay.
Yeah, conscientism was something he's trying to put out to you, that you going to study or you having intelligence is not to use to oppress people, because you having that intelligence is an opportunity to come back to your community and guide them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you coming with that understanding of, you also face difficulties to make them understand, see at the same point where you are. Because if you follow another philosopher, he said, when you guys are chained on the same spot and one person leave that spot and comes back to tell you that the spot you guys were chained, you were seeing the shadow, they will kill that guy, that type of a person. So I want you, it's a two-way thing. Like, if you are enlightened, be patient with people who are not enlightened, especially when it comes to culture, because we have these difficulties where people keep leaving their associations, because that's where we have these disintegrations. Like, you have a way forward, and there are few clique or there are few cabals in a certain association who see in a limited way, they don't want to expand. So you come with that type of ideas, you have it, it's like water finding its way. So cultural things, associations are the places we should exhibit this. But you being enlightened, like we said, consciousness, be patient with them, try as much as possible to look how you can put those words across.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ashu, for those wise words, and for telling us about your passion for culture. We are definitely going to let you go now.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful night,
Yeah.
and just keep watching. We would like to bring in. I've been asked to bring in Madame Florence, Madame Flo, I think. So I will let Mr. Ashu go, and I'll bring in Madame
I
Flo.
will sleep. I'll watch it tomorrow. Sorry, I have a project tomorrow.
I know,
So
I know
Okay.
you're busy.
I'll,
You're a
I will
busy
sleep,
man. I
then I will
know.
Thanks
follow
so
it
much.
tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Your input was quite insightful.
Yeah,
Thanks so much. We really
thank you. Can you guys
yeah.
log me out
Yeah,
so that
thank you, bro.
yeah.
Uh, change to you. Okay, perfect. Um,
So
so uh,
is Marflo ready to come in?
I don't know.
Okay.
Mr. Nebo recommended that I bring Marflo in. So Marflo, if you're watching, I'm going to bring you in 2 minutes. I'll give you a little time to get yourself ready, and then I'll invite you in. Madame
Okay.
Florence, voila. Um,
So the question is why culture? Why are we having these conversations about culture. Is culture actually important?
Okay.
Why are we having these conversations today? Is it really necessary? Is culture really an important piece for us to dwell on?
Flo, if you're watching, I've sent you an invitation. If you can join, that is going to be fine. For some reason, I can't bring in Mr. Nebo. I don't see him.
Wow.
Um,
Marflo is here. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Though I'm driving though, but it's okay.
Okay.
Welcome, Marflo. Thank you for joining.
Okay.
So we are talking culture, and we just wanted to pick your brains a little bit. I guess Lydia, what question do you want to start with?
I think we should first of all recognize who Marflo is.
Oh yes, of course.
She is one of the pillars within the Catholic community. Yeah. Since we started the Catholic Cameroonian community, she's been one of the pillars, helping to organize events within the church. And that's another area where we go to feel that we are maintaining our culture. For instance, the way we grew up back home, going to church, the kind of songs we sang, the kind of activities we had, like sharing, eating food after Mass. That is something that we are kind of recapping within the Catholic Cameroonian community and promoting our faith at the same time. So I think I want to commend her for that.
I also want to add that Marflo is a community leader here. She is a proud COM woman, and I think she is the head of the COM association here in Calgary, which I'll compliment her for that. We had an event a little while ago, organized. I know there was also a national convention that took place in Toronto. Is it the COM National Convention that took place somewhere outside the city? And then I know they are coming to Calgary 2025. Marflo, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, talking about culture, culture identifies who you are. I'm a COM woman. I wasn't born in COM, but I knew that I had to belong somewhere. I'm a Sawa. I was born in Tico, so, and when at the age of 18, when I was in high school, I couldn't even speak my dialect, but I knew that this is something that I could do. So I put it to myself that I have to speak my dialect, which is what I'm proud of today. And I want to say, even my kids right now, my kids know that out of my house, you speak COM to me. Even if you are speaking it the wrong way, you attempt to speak COM, and that identifies you. So we have been COM people. We have a few COM people here. I can't say a few. We have a lot actually. We are more than 50 of us. If we combine our kids, we are like 60 of us. So we've been going and eating our normal fufu and said, let's move it a step. We don't only eat fufu, we learn how to play the COM instrument. And if you see our launching in May, most of our stuff were done by us. We would play the guitar, the drums, we would play the rattles, and that is what is culture. I know because of lack of people, you may want to play it on audio, but we encourage, as part of culture, encourage children. We even have another new, let me call it a dance, which is a flute. And that flute is so cheap. I went to Cameroon, that flute, it cost me 5,000 francs to bring in that flute that will create a whole music. So we plan that we are going to take it and use it on our children. At first, the children will look at it with excitement that, oh, this is something we can play with. Oh, can we play a sound? And trust me, each flute has its own sound. And when you bring the sounds together, it forms a song. And that is culture. So we started like a joke. We launched in Calgary, and next year, 2025, I think it's 31st of July, we are going to have the national convention here in Calgary. And there's nothing I like more than people knowing our culture, identifying your food, and you should be proud of where you come from, even if it's made of 20 people. That is you. You can't
Right.
Yeah.
change and be another person. Honestly, I pity people who don't even know where they come from. And I always encourage people. I know inter-tribal marriages are there. You can choose one of them and link your children to, because when you ask somebody, oh, why can't your child even say good morning in a language? Oh no, my husband is barefoot. Oh, I'm this. I said no. Either you choose the barefoot and speak to your child. I really want to reiterate on this language thing. Yeah, we can't get it all, but we can at least some expressions that will identify you. Especially us black kids. My kids are already big, but when I came here, I noticed that in this condition, people always there's that notion that black people are a bit harsh, which maybe true, maybe wrong. So they always look at you. If you go to superstores with your kids playing around, you look at the way the white people look at you. They'll look at you skeptically. So I always told my children in the com language, if you are there, I will tell you that I'll tell you in come down when I reach the house, I'll kill you. You know, so nobody will even know what I'm saying. And
Right.
you see the child just adjust. And some of the things that used to be part of our culture, only the look.
Yeah.
You know how when you are doing something, only the look, your mother will look at you. Oh, that
You
look
know.
can tell you 1,000 things. So
That's attitude.
yes,
Attitude, which
only
is the
look
piece
that
of
I will look
culture.
at you. Oh my God, you know where you just start adjusting. Today, my daughter was speaking to me. I think she was with a friend. She opened her mouth and spoke to me in com. She told me that, oh, mom, I have this convention and I want to ask you for money. I was so happy because she struggled and she didn't want her friend to know what she was telling me.
Right.
So please, let's encourage our children. And we talked about food. Let your children eat your food. Yeah, no matter what, because that's what identifies them. I know children will say, oh, there's pizza and all that, but from my experience, they will eat pizza. But like in my house, my kids will eat fufu, no matter what. And kati. They may do what, but they know that this is part of them. As for the Cameroonian community, I think we enjoy it most when the way we celebrate Mass is different from the way they celebrate it here. And I've had remarks even from little kids. I'm so interested in the little kids. They will say, oh, yeah, we are going to that place where Auntie Maflo will speak now. I know they call me Auntie Maflo. And I know that these kids are really excited. When they come out, they commute, they play with themselves. And my wish is, I want our kids to know themselves. If our kids know themselves, they intermarry. I'm not saying that they shouldn't marry out of the tribe, but I know from experience that when you marry within your culture, you know the families, because marriage is not only between a man and a woman, but between families. When you know where your son's wife's parents are and you know them, there are certain things that you will solve at the level of parents for the children. That's why I always advocate for culture. Not only for but culture all around. Like in Cameroon, I know we have 500 or 250 different languages, but something is there that binds us as one. Let's stick to that oneness. Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much, Marflo. That was an amazing piece on discourse on what culture has to look like. She has spoken about food. She has spoken about some very good elements of culture. She spoke about food. She spoke about language and how important it is for us to teach our kids how to eat our food that belongs to us, which identifies us as a person, and then how to talk to them in our language, the language that identifies us as people. So I think that's one thing I'm leaving here today. We don't have to be experts. That's one thing. We don't have to be experts. The little they have, it's something that they'll hold on to tomorrow.
Yeah.
The little, as tiny as it is, they would hold on to it very passionately. I know I've not really taught my kids my language, but I have very basic things that I say to them, like good morning, go shower, get me water. And my daughter, every time my mom calls, my daughter is always rushing to say, how are you doing, in a language, to talk to my mom that I know how to speak our language. So I think it means a lot to them, and we don't recognize that.
Yeah.
So please, let's put in our little efforts. It helps to build their identity. cultural identity is a very important piece for an individual. It works on your self-esteem, it works on your mental health, it works on how you relate with others in the community. So that is why we are here today. Maflo, thanks so much. You've touched a lot and equally gone even into the Cameroonian Catholic community, which is something I really, really, really advocate for, to encourage our children to understand how we grow, because it's like a way of life. That is how we do things in church. That is how we do things when we are in the community. This is how we eat. These are the kind of foods we eat. Yeah.
And again, just talking about food, I just wanted to highlight that Maflo is a businesswoman as well. Maflo runs a Canadian African cuisine restaurant. It's called Nina. If you are around the Marlborough area, go to the Marlborough food court and check out Nina. She has delicious African cuisine. Of course, if you have time and you're around that area, please go by Maflo's restaurant at the Marlborough food court and try a couple of her dishes. So I just wanted to highlight that. It's really traditional Cameroonian dishes for those who know it.
Thanks so much for highlighting that fact. Like, you know, I went one day I've never known that she had a business like that. I went one day, I think it's a couple of months back, to Marlborough Mall. Then my friend Nelson, Ajwa Nelson, said, come, let me take you to have lunch. To my greatest surprise, it's like, there is puff puff, I'm like, are you serious? He said, yeah. I'm like, no, please, just take me there. It felt like I was at home. I felt at home, because it's commonplace for us to go out here and eat the chips, the burgers, and that doesn't speak to me as a person. When I went there, I was like, finally, I'm at home. So please, if you haven't gone to her place before, just try it out and tell us how it went for you. But for me, it was an amazing experience, and I felt at home.
Thank you. I just want to comment before I leave, please. Yeah. I've just seen on the screen about dresses. We think the way we dress speaks a lot, and the way we dress our kids speak a lot. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you just my little experience. I used to watch this celebrity, Angelina Jolie, and one of her daughters, I think they called that one Vivian, she always dressed her like a boy. And I'm just thinking, why is this child always dressed like a boy? And it ended up that she was that way. Yeah, as a kid and our culture, we don't know that kind of lifestyle, right? Make your child from childbirth know if they are a girl or a boy. I know our weather conditions here may make us always wear our kids' pants or so, but let them know that their traditional dresses are special. Where we used to have our church clothes. If you people know me very well, I always wear traditional dresses to church. It didn't start today. It started when I was a young kid. We had our church dresses, which we knew were special. Let your traditional dress be special. Let your child know that we dress them in their traditional dresses, and let them know that when they wear those dresses, it means a lot. Yeah, that's my one comment too.
Thank you very much, Maflo, for your time. It was lovely to have you here. I will let you go. I know it's a busy evening, so I'll let you go, and then we would continue.
Thank
you. Yeah, that's a very powerful one. Language, culture, food. Those are things that when people see, they can tell where you're coming from. Look at how I'm dressed today. I'm dressed in one of my Cameroonian fabrics, one of my African fabrics. It makes me feel at home. It makes me feel good. It makes me mentally alert compared to if I was wearing a t-shirt. So I think that's a very important factor. The way you dress tells where you come from.
Yeah.
So dressing is another important piece of culture which we are advocating for today. Dress in your African ways when appropriate, because you don't want to dress. Yeah, if the weather is so cold, you don't want to go wear a gown. And even if you do, there are other ways you can wear, like your turtleneck underneath and your pants under. So our African wears are still wearable even here. So you can find ways around to dress with your African fabrics.
It's somehow, it's not cold. So put on, you still have 1 more month. So put on your traditional outfits, people. It's yeah.
So Robert is saying that he is gonna appear like CPC Mark. So he wouldn't, his name wouldn't be
It wouldn't
Robert.
show as Robert.
It wouldn't be Nebo Robert, no.
But
It would be CPC Mark. Maybe Mark is probably like a Mark
tell
computer. So
Mr. Nebo to send a comment. Just tell him to send a comment.
Okay, Mr. Nebo, I don't know if you can hear us. Can you just try to
Send
send a
us a
comment with your name,
From there,
like
I'll
hi,
be able to
anything?
pick you up. Right.
Yeah.
I need a comment. Then yeah, I'll be able to find him. Without that, it's a little tricky. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, when he sends that, we are going to bring him, and then as we I let me see if there's some interesting comment. Oh, there's one comment from Lekia Kanjuale, and that's my auntie.
Okay.
She says, congratulations to this team. You guys are doing a great job. Please teach the children every area of our culture for posterity. That's correct. It is our heritage which we must uphold. Our food, our language, dressing, belief systems, dances, and songs. Yeah, so there's definitely a pattern. Food is important. Everyone would agree. Language is pretty important as well. We've talked a little bit about dressing, which is quite important. Belief systems too. I don't know that we've had a great deal of conversation about belief systems. Can you highlight a little bit while we wait, if you can?
Yeah, so beliefs will just be what you believe, right? What you perceive, how you're seeing life. How are you looking at life? What means something to you? What is valuable to you? So, for instance, me as a person, I grew up with taught to have values, those core values like respect for elders, not to look at elders when they are talking, and we believe that older people are more knowledgeable than us because they've had experience. So those are some little beliefs. We can come up with as many as possible. If anyone knows some of those beliefs that we have as Africans, you can share in the comment box so we can discuss them. But beliefs will generally be what are your core values.
Let's see. I've seen he sent a comment. I haven't seen it. Yeah, he's actually sent a comment, but for some reason I cannot find it. I cannot.
Oh, so did he send a comment?
Yeah,
did
he sent me. He sent me a no. He sent me a picture with his comment, but I can't find it on my end here.
So is it
because I want
usually just him? Is it usually just you sending a request for the person to join?
He can send a request. Mr. Nebo, send a request.
Yeah.
Send a request.
Let's try the other way around if it's gonna work.
Yeah, send a request to join. I think that's the easiest way since I can't really see you. Just send a request to join, and then I should see it.
So our beliefs would generally be things that we accept as true. This is what we know. Like I just gave examples. What we know is true within our culture. Then values would be principles that help us determine right from wrong. What are those principles? How do we respond to certain situations? So what are some of those beliefs and values that we can pass on to our children?
If you are a traditionalist like me, I know I'll talk about beliefs in the ancestors, which is not very different from, again, you can look at it how you want, but for me, I believe that
Right.
our forefathers, our great 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 fathers may have passed on, but they live
Mhm.
around. They're still here in spirit, right? They just like we believe in certain aspects of religion per se. I think I hold
Right.
a very strong belief in a conviction
Yeah.
in us and our ancestors and the connections that we have, right?
Yeah.
So again, when I talk to my kids about my grandparents who have all passed on, right? But when I
Right.
talk with them, I tell them that I believe that though they're gone, they are still here with us. They can intercede for us. If I have an issue, I can talk to them, right? And they can find solutions. It's believed that there's a connection between us, the living, and our ancestors who have gone before us. So for me, that is a belief that I hold very
Yeah.
strongly. Again, for some people who might not be as traditional as I am, they might find that a little you they might,
Absurd.
they might
Weird.
find it a little absurd or word. But
Mhm.
again, that is just me, and that's how I believe, right? That's what I believe in. So yeah, there's that. There's also, again, community. We believe a lot in the community. They
Yes.
they, 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 they say in pidgin, or they say one handed the type of key. They say that
Yeah.
in different languages, right?
Yeah.
Or they say, if you pick a broomstick, it's easy to break and destroy, but when
You
you tie
tie
them in a bundle,
the whole
it is
bunch.
impossible to break them. Which means that community coming as a group has a lot of strength,
Yes.
and resilience in that, right? So I believe in community. I believe in no man should be an island.
Yeah.
People should connect with others. That's why,
Mhm.
if we're going to church, the kids are going with us, because I
Yeah.
want them to meet the other kids.
Right.
If we are going for a meeting, I want the kids to come, because I know that those connections and those bonds are pretty important, right? And I think part of our culture is that we are not an island. We are never an island. We're always extending a hand, either to support or to receive support, in one way or the other. So yeah, that is definitely a key. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's that is a belief or it's a value, the value
Oh,
of,
it is.
yeah, or
It's
both.
absolutely, absolutely. Your examples were quite clear and very, it's like fitting a square peg in a square hole. So, yeah, you just talked about one of those core beliefs that we have within our culture, the belief in
Mhm.
ancestors, ancestral beliefs, and believe in, let me focus first on the ancestral beliefs. It is very typical within my culture, the Bamile
Mhm.
case, that you know that those who have gone ahead are not gone. They have only transformed from human form to
Mhm.
spirits. So they still watch over us, they still hear us, and we speak to them.
Mhm.
So it, it's commonplace. Like me, before I travel, if I go to Cameroon today, there is no way I would travel without going to my father's grave to talk to him. So it is not done. I wouldn't do that in my family. We must go through that process because we believe that we are honoring those who have gone ahead of us and that they still watch over us even while. So if I'm making a prayer or if I'm going through a difficult time, I
Mhm.
would say, my father, you have always watched over me. I think this is, I'm going through a difficult time. Can you open the way for me? So in the same way that we pray to our God, we equally ask or intercede through our ancestors to to help us when we are going through challenging times. So it's a big piece for our mental health, believe in ancestors. That is why most of us keep pictures of those who have
Mhm.
passed, because we want to still connect with them in one way or the other.
All right.
So that belief in ancestors is a very big piece.
So it's not
Yeah.
weird.
No, it's
I'm not
not.
alone.
It's
I'm not
not.
alone in that regards, right?
But but you know what? It's different for
Right.
each person. When it's like the cultural identity that we are trying to talk to build today. We
Mhm.
are trying to build our sense of cultural identity. That's why we are having all these conversations about culture. We want to help anyone listening to us today to build your sense of cultural identity, to build your sense of self, then build your sense of belonging. So those are the two pieces. Build sense of self, which is the cultural identity piece we are talking about, which varies from person to person. There are things that you would highlight or that you would tick as 100%, and I would tick as, for me, I will rate it as
Right.
50.
But
So
again, still
we all
part of the
have
broad.
different degrees. Yes. So we all have different degrees at which we value different things, which is what constitutes our cultural identity. So the overall, the mother term, which is culture, would determine what your cultural identity is. So it's very important to know what you believe in so that you can build your sense of self. Building your sense of self, then building your sense of belonging. So who am I first? Then how do I belong to the greater picture of the community? What am I going to pursue when I go to a communal setting? So maybe I like more traditional dances, so I want to pursue more cultural events that has to do with traditional dances. Maybe I'm more interested in just music, so I would want to focus more only on events that are related to music, and I build that part of me. So who are you as a person? How do you feel about yourself? What is your sense of self? Do you feel satisfied? Do you feel happy with yourself? And what would you say when we talk about your cultural identity? Do you think that area of your life is built? Do you think it needs some work? Do you have to take time to figure out, hey, what does culture really mean to me? How do I fit in when it comes to my culture? Because those who struggle with their cultural identity struggle with their sense of self, and it impacts their mental health. So culture is a very big piece of mental health, and it's a very important factor that helps us to integrate in social settings. If you don't have a good sense of culture, then social interactions will equally be challenging for you. It doesn't matter what community you are in, it doesn't matter how that appears. Once you lack a sense of self, it would impact how you connect with others in the community. So those are some pieces we also want to highlight today. And so what are your thoughts about the sense of self, sense of belonging, and the overall discussion on culture?
Yeah, I think we are definitely a product of our environment. And if you grew up in an environment where culture was valued and cherished, then you definitely have that instilled in you. If you grew up in an environment where certain values were encouraged and exhibited, you're definitely going to pick that up, right? In contrast, if you grew up in an environment like us here and now, where there are limited opportunities to exhibit and to promote that piece of culture, which is kind of promoting a piece of yourself, right? If you live in an environment like that, then you don't really get the opportunity to be yourself. If you're spending a lot of time with people from different cultures, say for example, take a mainstream Canadian. If you're spending a whole lot of your time with a bunch of Canadian, you're definitely losing a piece of your culture. And again, it's there, and you're integrating into theirs, right? And if you're not careful, at the end of the day, you find yourself completely I don't want to say swallowed, but completely immersed in a culture that is kind of foreign to you, where at the end of the day you're not sure if you belong, because it's like, is this me? So it's really making an effort in the multiple ways that we have, with the events that we've organized so far, with the event that is coming up this Saturday. I like to go because I want to be in an environment where I can associate myself to certain aspects of that community, right? Be it culture, be it a language, be it, again, it doesn't have to be my language. I hear a Bamileke person speak. It's definitely not Bangwa, but there are certain words and certain ways in which phrases are made that I can relate to. So I might not be hearing someone speaking my dialect, but I could
Right.
definitely relate to it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
again, just hearing people, speak that dialect, it doesn't matter if it's Bangwa, is Bamileke, is Com, it doesn't matter. But just being in that
Yeah.
environment where people are proud enough of their language that they would speak
Heritage.
it in
Yeah.
public, right?
Mhm.
I think that is what gives me joy. That's why I'm really interested in cultures. And again, it doesn't matter if it the Manu culture or Bameleke or is Bangwa or is Com or is Bafuto. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There has not been a cultural event in Calgary that I've not been to. I was at the Bafut summer event.
Manjo.
The
Mm-hmm.
man, yeah, summer event that happened a couple of weeks ago. I was at the Com event, or when the
Mm-hmm.
Manu people organized their event. I was part of that, right? Again, just because it's for me, that is something that grounds me. When I go there, I come back home. I am proud of myself. I'm proud to be who I am,
Yeah.
right? I am, it gives me a certain level of pride
Yeah.
when I come back and how I carry myself. So yes, I definitely I am an advocate of culture, and I promote it as much. That's again as much as I can, right? Again, this platform too, Idle Park is definitely we are definitely born out of this culture thing, because when we
Okay.
initially started, we were kind of motivated by some friends of ours who were organizing some cultural thing, and they wanted us to either do small journalism, or we are not
Yeah.
journalists, but it's sort of an expectation, do a little
Right.
journalism, do some videography here, put a couple of
Okay.
adverts out. So it was born out of that desire to bring people together and
Right.
to have people demonstrate and show who they are, cultures, in as many
Yeah.
ways as they can. I